What is up? I hope that your Christmas was merry and I hope that your days were bright. Mostly, I hope that you found some moments to pause and just take it all in and just come back to yourself to recharge and put everything into perspective. I know that I certainly did, and there were some moments that were challenging that I really had to remind myself what this is all about. And for this last episode of 2023, I thought, you know what? Why don't we go back to something from January, something that's going to help us as we're sort of in this in between, sort of still in the holidays, not quite in the new year, but we're ramping up. We know what's ahead of us and we know what we are leaving. And for this middle space right now, I thought I would share again the most streamed episode of 2023. That's right. When I saw my Spotify wrapped, I saw that this episode, Upgrade Your Self Talk to Empower Yourself and Create New Results with Kelly Maiese, was streamed 294% more than the average episode of the Juggle is Real podcast. So, you know what? I figured let's go out with a bang. Let's go out with a good one. And in this episode, what we're going to talk about is how we can become aware of the ways that we talk to ourselves so we can make positive change in our life. So without further ado, let us dive right in to the most popular episode of the year. Hey, I'm Andryanna, and this is the Juggle is Real podcast. As I share my ongoing journey from experiencing burnout to leading a more mindful and intentional life with better balance, I hope you feel seen, that you realize your worth, lighten your load, and prioritize your own needs. As we hear from leading experts and well-known faces in the wellness, entrepreneurship, education, and motherhood space, I hope you gain insights, proven practices, and learn actionable tools to help you enjoy the juggle of work, family, and everything in between with a little less stress and a lot more ease, joy, and fun. Most of all, I hope you find what you need to simplify, streamline, and supercharge your own journey of better balance and self-love. Are you with me? Let's get started. Hello. I am so happy that you're here. This episode is going to be so uplifting, so inspiring, and it's going to shift the way you think, feel, and act, literally. Today, we're talking about upgrading your self-talk so that you can empower yourself and create new results. And for this episode, we have the incredible opportunity to speak with Kelly Maiese. She is an elite mindset and behavior coach who helps people figure out what they want and transform their lives and thinking. She is a certified neurolinguistic practitioner and hypnotherapy coach whom I have worked with and have had incredible results, by the way. She is a certified coach with Con Method Coaching, a certified elite coach with Ryan Montes Coaching, and is a certified timeline therapy practitioner. She also has a background in financial services with product and marketing, and she worked exclusively within large corporate organizations. Kelly is also a mama, and after taking a pause to spend more time with her 3 boys, yes, she's a boy mom like me, she started listening to those inner desires to have a career that felt exciting and fulfilling, and that's when she started her coaching business. Kelly's coaching is structured around curiosity, authenticity, and growth. By helping her clients to up-level their thinking, they are empowered to become clear on what they want, change their habits, and their own actions and results. Hello, Kelly. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so thrilled about this conversation. How are you doing?
I am great. And thank you for having me. I'm very excited to talk with you today.
You know what? This episode, I think, is coming at the absolute perfect time. And while we're in the month of January, and whatever time you're listening, I think is a great time, but we're going to focus on upgrading our self-talk to empower ourselves and to create new results. And, this start of the year, I think, is the perfect place to kind of set our intentions. And oftentimes we have really great intentions, right? We have the best intentions and we think things are going to go really well. And sometimes life throws a curveball, or sometimes we're just not used to giving ourselves those pep talks that we might need, or, we haven't been taught how to speak to ourselves in a way that is loving and kind and encouraging. And even if we do know this stuff, sometimes we can just fall into a rut, or we might need that reminder that the way we speak to ourselves really matters. So before we dive in, because I'm really, really excited to talk about all this, I would love to know more about you. So can you tell us about yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I'll start with I'm an entrepreneur. And the reason I'm starting with that is because it's the best example I have about doing work on my own self-talk. And when I reflect back on my year of 2022, that's the thing that I'm proudest about is because I did the work and I was able to take the steps and make the improvements and start going for what I wanted. I'm a naturally curious person who loves to be outdoors and doing things with my husband and 3 boys and my somewhat complicated dog, Marty. So yeah,
I've got a complicated dog too.
yes. He's like another child. We spend a lot of time outdoors and doing things as a family. We were pretty intentional from the beginning that we wanted to have activities that we could continue to have as the kids grew up and got older. So we are into golf and skiing. The kids play basketball. I do the observing on that front. And I love to travel. And so we built that into our lives. And my husband's a teacher and I can now work from wherever I want. So traveling is something that is always planned in our lives. And we spend a good chunk of the summer away in Nova Scotia. So that's a really nice element of what we've created for ourselves. I'm a go to bed early and wake up really early kind of person, which is another piece that I did a lot of work on because I used to sort of judge myself for it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm most productive in the mornings and I'm also better when I go to bed early. So I'm okay with it. So I accepted that. Yeah.
I love that. And you're preaching to the choir, because come like 9:30, I'm fading away. Like my
9:30 is a late night for me, but yes.
And before we talk about upgrading our self-talk, because I think, there's always room for improvement, maybe we should just start. And I would love for you to help explain what do you mean by self-talk?
Yes.
Like, what is self-talk? How is it formed?
Self-talk, if you were to, most people are familiar with the term self-image, and that being the idea one has of their abilities, their appearance, and their personality. So your self-talk, and it's not a term that you can Google, it's just a term that gets used, is really about that conversation that's going on in your head, that's happening all the time. So other people might refer to it as your inner voice. So it's that dialogue that is happening. And most people aren't really aware of the impact that has on everything else in your life. So what you are, that little voice, and what you are thinking, what you are feeling, what your beliefs are, what your judgments are, that's always happening in the background of anything that's going on in your day-to-day life. And when you become aware of it and you realize that sometimes it's not really that empowering for you, there are things that you can be doing to improve it. Because I don't know, sometimes we have a tendency to be a little bit mean to ourselves, and we're not necessarily saying things that are going to give us the courage to take the steps, to take the action, to change how we see things and do things differently. So it really begins with what you're thinking.
It's so true. And I feel like you said once you're aware of it, because this is
Yeah.
happening all the time. We are always talking to ourselves. I don't know if babies talk to themselves, but this is something we've been doing from a very young age. And I think once we become aware of it, we can really catch ourselves. So,
Yes.
if something happens and it's like, oh, you spilled something and you're like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Like, you might be saying it out loud or thinking in your head, you're like, wait a second, like everyone makes mistakes, and
Yeah.
for me, this was really eye-opening because once you put 2 and 2 together, the way you speak to yourself and how you feel about yourself really affects like you said, the actions that you're taking and the shifts that you're going to make and changes. And when it comes to bettering yourself or, upgrading or, changing the way that you're living, like it all starts with how we think and talk to ourselves. Am I right?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And, the one thing that's, just to build on that a little bit, like a lot of your self-image and the way that you see and perceive the world is formed between the ages of 0 and 7. And when you think about that, that makes a lot of sense because we're much more impressionable. We're much more open to receiving information, but we're also like little sponges that are just taking everything in. So the good news is that we can change all of that. So at any point in time, you and I can decide that we want to become aware of what we're thinking and we want to improve what we're thinking so that we can have a much better and stronger self-image and start to do things outside of our comfort zone.
Oh, that's good, because I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, so I've got kids 8, 6, and not even 2. So I'm like, oh no, like what are they taking in here? Like, I hope that I'm instilling a lot of good stuff in them. But the fact that we can always change, we can make that shift and we can make improvements. And that's a beautiful thing. So you are an elite coach. You're also a hypnotherapist, NLP. You really help your clients as they reprogram their subconscious mind to be able to see those positive shifts, both, from a personal standpoint, as well as in their professional lives and their careers. So when it comes to talking about the conscious and subconscious mind, can you share what the difference is? How does this affect our self-talk and the way that we are thinking about ourselves?
Yeah, it's all related. So let me just first start by explaining what the conscious mind is. So that is really the thinking part of your mind. So it's the part of your mind that holds your thoughts, and it's where you create your actions through your free will, your rational thinking, and your memory. So that's what's happening in the conscious part of your mind. And so that's the thing that we sort of most think of when we think of our mind. The thing is that that's only responsible for about 5% of the results that you're achieving. So the rest, let's say the other 95%, is really within your subconscious mind. And so when you are aware of your subconscious mind, then you can start to change your results. So that is the part of your mind that determines how you see the world and how you interpret it. So when we go back to that, the ages of 0 to 7, you can see why the large part of that is formed at the younger ages. So your subconscious mind is your feeling part of the mind. And that's where it holds like your beliefs, your habits, your paradigms. And another way to explain a paradigm is like your set view or perspective on the world. And your memories. And those things are all happening outside of your awareness. So they're always just operating and they're coloring the way that you make decisions and what you think on an ongoing basis. So you could describe the subconscious mind as like an operating system for the body. So it's really connected to every single cell within your body. So it is super powerful. So when we become more aware and attuned with our subconscious mind, we can really start to make deeper changes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have some knowledge and some experience in dealing with this. And I would love to say as well that I have had hypnotherapy sessions with you, and it has been really, really life-changing for me. Like both from the standpoint of not really understanding hypnotherapy, not really, kind of having a little bit of an awareness of what our conscious and subconscious mind is, but then also going through the experience of going through hypnotherapy and some of your coaching, and then seeing how that shift has happened on the other side. So I'll give a quick example because, for anyone listening who's like, hey, like this is all just words to me. Like I'm not really making sense of this. I came to you in the summer because my husband and we had booked a trip. We were invited to a wedding in Italy. Kids were not invited. We spoke to our parents and they were very, very willing and happy to take on the responsibility of caring for 3 young children while we went away. And our trip was 10 days overseas, no kids. And it was wonderful. It was beautiful. And thinking from, when we booked it, I think it was like March or April of last year. The trip wasn't until August. So I was like, this is going to be great. Get a break. My husband and I get to like spend time together and reconnect. And, we get to see a beautiful part of the world and drink wine and eat delicious food. And then as the date got closer, I was having, like, I guess the more negative self-talk was creeping in. And so I was feeling, even though I speak to this, quote unquote, mom guilt, I speak to, prioritizing yourself and doing things for yourself, you know what? Even still, like, that negative self-talk was creeping in, saying like, who are you to leave? Like, how are your kids going to manage without you? What if something goes wrong? This, that, and the other thing. And, I was starting to get nervous. And so when I came to you, we had this beautiful conversation, and the practice that we went through was to help my subconscious mind tap into those beliefs that it's going to be an incredible trip. We are going to have an amazing time. The kids are taken care of. Everyone's going to be great. My husband and I are going to connect. We're going to have a wonderful vacation. And when we come back, things are going to be great. And even just saying it, for me now, obviously I'm on the other side of it, but at first I was like, I'm not sure that I believe that. And after our time together and the repetition, because I listened to that call over and over and over leading up to it, I felt very, very good and very just open to having that experience. And so that's just a little example of how I was able to kind of change that self-talk, reprogram some of that subconscious thinking, and create, the experience that I truly did want to have. And I think that we can all apply this in some way or another. Maybe we do want to travel more in 2023. Maybe we want to get that promotion. Maybe we want to start a business or become healthier, or whatever those goals or those resolutions or those intentions. But perhaps, the negative self-talk is creeping in, or maybe we're just not actually believing what it is that we want.
Exactly. That's exactly it. You can set an intention and you can have a goal, and you can consciously really want to do that and achieve that thing. But if you at the core don't really believe in that, and if you don't have those positive feelings and belief behind what it is you want to do, then your habits will override your intention. Your way of doing things will override. So that's why sometimes you need to go a little bit deeper with your thinking and with your changes in order to create new behaviors, so that those new behaviors can be repeated over time. And then you start to create a habit. And then when you start to create a habit, you then start to like believe it, you start to feel it, and you start doing consistently different things.
Yes.
It's all connected.
It is. It's all connected. And it's so important to know these things. So let's talk about actually doing this. Let's talk about taking action. Let's talk about this process. So how can we all collectively empower ourselves? Where do we start when it comes to upgrading the self-talk? Like, what would you say is it the awareness, or what would you say is that point where we can begin the process of taking action and upgrading our self-talk?
Yeah. So I would say the first step is exactly that, is one, become aware. So one of the things that you can do is you can ask yourself, would you say those things to a child? So if you catch yourself in a moment of saying something, so I don't know, as a busy mom of three, maybe sometimes the thought goes through your head, I'm so disorganized and frazzled all the time. Maybe that's something that's happening.
May have been said to myself this morning. Okay, so
it might happen sometimes. But would you say that to a child? Would you say that to one of your young boys? No, you wouldn't. No. There's nothing empowering. There's no good outcome that's going to come out of that, because what you want to do is you want to make a change in the belief. And so the belief change is in doing something different. So pointing out a negative like that and getting stuck on that is not going to create a new behavior. It might in the moment, they'll go and, you'll tidy up the counter or whatever, but you're still going to have that frazzled feeling, instead of being like, I'm actually a really organized mother. I have done this, this, and this so far this morning. I've also planned to do X, Y, and Z after I drop the kids off at school. And I'm good with that. Is a great way to sort of reframe the way that you are talking to yourself in your day. And if it starts first thing in the morning, then chances are it's going to continue throughout the day. So change what you're saying. Say, I am accomplishing these things. I am very organized. I do have set intentions. I have, clear boundaries. That was a big one for me, was as a mom of three as well, like creating boundaries around my time and being aware of and starting to be clear on what I was available for and what I wasn't available for, because it is frazzled and really hectic when you have to drop everything for everyone all the time. So when you can be a little bit more focused and intentional, and maybe that focus is when you get up really early in the morning because you get a bit of time for yourself to have a coffee and do your planning. However that looks for you as an individual is a great way to sort of set yourself up for success. And then you want to build on that belief, because the thing is that as you continue to tell yourself that you're organized, and as you continue to reinforce the positive behavior that you're doing, you will find more evidence of that, because you can choose to continue to look for evidence of being frazzled and disorganized, or you can choose to look for evidence of being the opposite. And what you want is the outcome of being organized. So that was where you want to focus your attention. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. So we want to become aware of those thoughts of the talk. We want to check in, and we want to notice maybe when our self-talk isn't really what we're hoping to achieve. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes. And then, yes, exactly. And then the other thing that I would point out is that sometimes if you have a negative self-talk, you will take that and you will turn it into fact. And so you will just automatically believe that. So the next step would be, you want to overpower those negative things that are in your head with, and like sort of like flood them out with really positive facts that are true for you of the opposite nature, because they are there and they do exist. You're just not focusing on them. So that's another powerful step that you can take. And then you're replacing those negative things that you're saying, and you're installing those new positive thoughts.
Right.
And then you want to reject the things that aren't serving you. So don't let yourself say, I'm disorganized and I am frazzled. Just be like, yep, nope, not available for that kind of thinking, Andryanna. I am now going to say to myself that I am organized and I am managing a busy household. I've got 3 kids. They're all really happy. They're all very well adjusted, and we manage from day to day.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So is it deciding from the start what those intentions are going to be? Like, is it almost like creating affirmations, deciding on what those are, so that you sort of have that available to you when these negative things kind of pop up? Then you can kind of be like, no, I am organized, I am, patient, I am loving, whatever those intentions are that you want to set. Do you do that?
That's a great way to do it. You can set intentions, or you could set like values that you have for yourself. So if you were to say, I am calm and I am organized, and those are values that I have for myself, and then you see and feel yourself starting to get really like busy minded, bring yourself back and be like, am I acting from the place of calmness and organized? No, I am not. Okay, these are the things that I can be thinking. And you can say the things that you are. I am calm. I am organized. I accomplish a lot in a day. I do things very methodically. I have a plan. And when you feel and sense that you are straying from that thinking and straying from those actions and behaviors, bring yourself back.
Yeah.
Because you can change it in any moment. You can change what you're thinking, because ultimately you are what you think about. So that's a big statement, but it's absolutely true. You are what you think about.
Yes. And who said it what you focus on expands.
Yes,
It's not coming
I
to me, but yeah, what you focus on
either.
expands. Yeah. And so
Absolutely.
if you're focusing on, and this can be in so many, whether you're at work or at home or wherever, if you're always turning to the worst case scenario or looking to the news and all of the naysayers, or you're, always looking in the direction of what's going wrong, then
Yeah,
you don't have a lot of room. There's not a lot of extra space for all the things that are going right, or all the opportunity that awaits you, or all the experiences that can be going in that positive direction if you
absolutely.
have just a sole focus on the
Yeah.
negative. So I think the self-talk is really where all of this begins.
Yeah, it's the absolute starting point. It's, your mind, your subconscious mind will look for evidence. So you want it to look for evidence of the positive thinking, of the positive thoughts that you're having. Because if you get stuck in a negative loop, that's what it's going to look for, is proof that you want to prove that's negative. Like, I am disorganized. Look at all the laundry all over the place, versus I am very organized. I have a plan, and I am going to do this one step at a time. I'm going to focus my energy on what I want to focus my energy on, and the other things will come in due time. So it's very different energy that you're coming at it from.
What a breath of fresh air this is, Kelly. I love
Yeah.
this. I'm feeling so much lighter. And I think that many of us have these assumptions that, if we want to see results when it comes to empowering ourselves, or, actually achieve the goals that we've set for ourselves, or, seek out those resolutions, it's going to be really time consuming. It's going to be hard. There's a lot of challenge ahead of us. But what I really appreciate about working with you and hearing, your expertise is that it doesn't have to be hard. It can actually be easy. And that is really, really empowering. So do you have any like an exercise that we can do, or advice that, for people like yourself, like me, we have a lot on our plate. We've got, kids are back at school, the homework is in place, the emails are coming in, there's travel and there's plans at stake, and there's a whole bunch of things happening always. There might be a sick kid at home. There might be puke buckets around the corner. We don't know what's happening. So where do we start? How do we truly take action? Do you have any advice for making it easy, but also allowing it to work?
Yeah, I think, the first step is to become aware. The second step would be just forgive yourself and let it go. So if you've realized that you're being really judgy or mean to yourself, or there's some negative thinking happening, acknowledge it and let it go. And then come up with those better thoughts and replace the negativity, and sort of build that evidence up of the positive thinking that you want to be having, that is aligned to the goal that you have. So remind yourself throughout the day. I think one of the easiest things you can do is celebrate those small wins throughout the day. And really like build that up, so that you are building up the evidence within you. You're building up that positive feeling within you of achieving the things that you want. I think it's also important, to, as you start to do it, you start to create new habits. And as you build the habit, it becomes a habit that is one that you want. And so it's aligned with your goals. And so then you start to have different behaviors and different results. And so then the momentum is building for the change that you're seeking. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
love that you're talking about, recognizing all of the incredible things that you're doing, having that evidence. And I love the work of Abraham Hicks, and her
Yes.
saying that everything is always working out for me. And that is a
Yes.
saying that I've really taken to heart, that I continuously repeat to myself, sometimes multiple times in a day, when things are not looking so great. But somehow, some way, everything always works out, right?
Mhm.
Whether we find out why it's working out within the minutes or hours, or at the end of the day, or maybe it's years, or maybe we just never find out, everything is working out for us. And so when we can look in that direction of, okay, so everything's going to work out, so instead of just rehashing, or telling everyone about the bad things that happened to me, or feeling sorry for myself for the situation that I'm in, or just like really beating myself up for a mistake I've made, or something that didn't go my way, I like to say, like, everything is always working out for me. And I like to remember instances where things truly have, where, like,
Oh,
going away to Europe, like having great
yes.
experiences, like wins that my kids have had, different ways that, things have gone well in my business, or, awesome people that I've had gotten to interview, like yourself on the podcast. Like, so I think that these things are, sometimes we fear actually doing this work, but it's not difficult, right?
Oh,
It's just,
no.
making a slight shift, a small change that really snowballs into better things.
Absolutely. Like one of the things that you can do is so simple, and I do it at the end of the day when I'm like putting my head on my pillow, is like take a moment to celebrate all the things that went well in the day. So come up with a list of 5 things that I felt really good about in the day. So I'm then like finishing my day off on a really positive note. And I wake up feeling good because I've taken the highlights from the day that were good, and that's what I go to bed thinking about. And that's when our subconscious mind is really doing a lot of the work, is when you're resting. So another thing you can also do is make gratitude a part of your day. So you've got young kids at home. Like we love to do sit at the table and go around the table and say like one thing that you're grateful for at the table. And that's a really nice way to get a conversation going amongst the family, but it's also a really great way to elevate the mood within the family. So those things, like as you consistently do those things, when you're celebrating your wins, when you are taking a moment for gratitude throughout the day, you're basically elevating your energy and how you're feeling. So you're doing some of that work already, and then that negative thinking is going to stop showing up as consistently as it may have in the past, because you are just at a better level.
Yeah.
You're thinking more positively, you're thinking more clearly. And if there are people who are like, oh yeah, but I still don't feel great, you could be writing down all the things that you're really good at. You could be making a list of all the things that you've ever accomplished. If you're feeling like your self-image and your confidence is feeling kind of low, you could write a list of all the things that you're grateful for in your life. And those are just like sort of immediate mood boosters that will lift you up and get you feeling better immediately. Because at the end of the day, you are what you think about. And so you want to pay attention to what your thinking is, because your thinking is coloring every experience that you have. Even if you were to see a rainbow, what you think about the rainbow and what I think about the rainbow could be very different, because how we perceive that rainbow is all because of what we're thinking. So as you
Yeah.
improve what you're thinking, and as you become aware of your views, your habits, your perceptions, everything starts to improve, because your
And I think
attitude
we're
is
just,
essentially changing. Yeah.
yeah, and we're just so much more open to receiving good things,
Mhm.
allowing things to be easy, making time for what really truly matters, like you said, and not being available for maybe those things that bring us down, those things that cause our feelings to kind of go ho hum,
Mhm.
and not really be how we want to be feeling. And I just want to say, because I speak about gratitude and my own gratitude practice, and I speak about things like waking up early or journaling and these things, and from the outset, I mean, even sometimes for myself, if I'm not in the best mood, I'm just like, oh, well, I guess I could write out what I'm grateful for, like maybe that'll help, or whatever. But the physical act of doing it, and I challenge you, if you're feeling like, okay, but I don't know if that actually works, like list of 10 things, and they can be as simple as the chair you're sitting in, and you can kind of look out the window, there might be, like you said, a rainbow, or the cup of tea that you're drinking. And truly, I have never finished a list of gratitude without feeling really, really great, and just my heart filling with joy. Never once have I put my journal down or put that pen down after writing a list of what I'm grateful for saying, well, I still feel like crap. Always, 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 I'm like focusing on all of those good things, all of those positive things, and I'm filled with so much joy and
Mhm.
happiness. And I'm filled with gratitude after writing a list of gratitude. Who would have thought? But
Yeah.
it works. It's so simple, it's so easy, but it works.
And it's available to all of us. And, it's sometimes we just get focused on the wrong things and we forget to, and then we get reminded, but we forget sometimes to just be like, okay, yeah, I'm having a bit of an off day today. Here are all the things that I'm grateful for. And I appreciate all of them. And I know that I am in charge of my thinking and I am in charge of my results. And I get to decide how I feel and what I think. And so, as you become aware of that and as you start to shift it, you start to see very different results.
I get to decide. That's also
Mm-hmm.
another really great thing that you can repeat to yourself. I feel like
Yeah.
it's like, I can choose love over this. I can choose calm over this. I can
Mm-hmm.
choose peace, patience, organization,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Maybe that's how we can negate that negative self-talk when it creeps up, like
Yeah.
I am choosing whatever that replacement, that better feeling is.
Yes. I
Yeah.
I often use I can choose to not react to my son's fighting right now. I can choose to stay calm. I can choose to be a patient mother right now. And that will move me through their tiffs that they might be having.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to repeat that one to myself, especially around bedtime when like the
Mhm.
shenanigans ensue. So yeah, I mean, like it's an ongoing process, but it works and it's so helpful. And I think it, especially, if we're, headed towards like Blue Monday or sort of like those times within the year where maybe we might have some dips, we might need a little bit more sunshine and vitamin
Yes.
D, but we can come back to this and we know that we can decide and we have the choice and we have the ability to, to have positive self-talk. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
love this. And I love this
Yeah.
conversation, Kelly. I'm so grateful. I will be writing down my gratitude for having you here today and having this conversation. It has completely elevated my mood and has like brought me to this whole new level of lightness and positivity. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. It's absolutely my pleasure. And you could boost it by going for a walk outside and doing your list in your head and just appreciating everything that's around you. And it will be better than if you didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we close, um, I'm going to put some links in the notes for this podcast. There's been some really helpful tools that you provide, some free resources. I think there's like a relaxation meditation that I talk about often that has been really helpful for me to kind of lift my spirits and bring me back to, feeling more like myself. I'm going to put all of that in the podcast, as well as some links to social media, because you're always posting like the most enlightening and informative little spiels and rants and all sorts of great information. As we close, Kelly, if you could maybe impart one main takeaway or just an important idea that we can close on, what would you love to share with us?
Well, it sort of feels very fitting, Andryanna, to share this one with you. So I would say start small, but just start. And so, you mentioned social media, and I did not have any comfort with doing reels and doing videos. And I remember talking to you and you gave me some really helpful advice. And so my self-talk was not good in that front and I had to work on it. And I have. And as I did it, and as I created a new habit and I became more confident, I'm having different results and I'm actually enjoying it now, where I didn't used to. It used to be a thing that I definitely dreaded and would put off and did not feel comfortable. So now I believe in the work and I believe in the content that I'm putting out, and it's just so easy.
Oh, I'm so
So
glad
I
that I could
thank
help.
you. Yes,
Yeah.
you helped. You helped. So thank you.
Well, thank you for helping us. So, final words, we're going to start small,
Just
but
be
just
aware of
start.
what you're thinking and just start. Just start to make small shifts in what you are thinking, and it will improve over time. And you will start to make different decisions and have different results. But the first step is awareness. And just replace that negative thinking and go for it and do the thing that you are putting off that you think you can't do, and just try. Just start small and start taking steps.
Beautiful. Kelly, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. So great to see you and speak to you.
Yes. Okay. So everyone, this is it. Start now, start small, but just start.
Just start.
Man, that was so good. I'm so glad that I got to re-listen, and I hope that you really enjoyed listening again or for the first time to this very, very valuable episode with Kelly Maiese. Please head to the notes for this podcast episode. There are some free goodies and lots of ways that you can connect with Kelly on a deeper level. Also, you can find ways to connect with me, to follow on Instagram. And if you loved this episode, I hope that you please can write me a short and sweet review, that you rate it, do all the things that we do, and share with one friend, someone who could upgrade their self-talk a little bit, especially as we head into a new year. I wish you all the very, very best as we close out 2023, and I will see you here for a brand new episode in the new year of the Juggle Israel podcast. Take good care.